Check it out, man. Gizzo Productions is bringing you the best in the city, the hardest grinders in the city, and I want you guys to see this. Look at these grinders that I'm gonna bring you and step up your game. What's up, y'all? Thanks for coming back and chit-chatting with Gizzo. You guys already know we're bringing you the city's entrepreneurs, artists, and people doing things in the community. Today I have the pleasure of bringing you a very special guest that we've worked with in the past, and we've got some interesting stuff to talk about. So without further ado, Kerri Kendall, thank you for being with us.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. You have a beautiful home.
Thank you.
So let's just start right into it.
Let's go.
One of the questions that when we were writing, we were thinking about, and we noticed it right in the middle of looking up all your info. Your birthday's in September, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is it a coincidence that your Playboy Playmate month was your birthday month?
100% coincidence. We don't have anything to do with the month that we are given, and it was a great coincidence,
okay.
To be honest with you. But yeah, people ask me that all the time. Did you get to choose your month? And it's like, no way, out of 12 girls, they wouldn't be able to choose their months because you'd have to have one girl from each month of the year.
Yeah, that'd be a little difficult to scout.
Yeah,
right?
Well, actually, with the thousands of submissions that they get, like, weekly, maybe it wouldn't, who knows. But.
Nice. We also, so I wanted to ask you, so I heard that since you were young, even age 6, you aspired to be a Playboy Playmate.
I know.
Tell me about that. Like, how did you know about Playboy and what, you know?
I know.
Like,
it sounds really crazy, but I am older than dirt, and I was a child in the 70s. And in the 70s, it was way more open then. You know, it was right after the 60s, the Love Moon Priest and all that. And in every living room, basically, you had your Playboys and your National Geographics, and they were just, I mean, it wasn't like the kids were taking them down and looking through them, but Playboy was such an iconic magazine, and it was done so well and classy that it was just known. So I was a little girl going, I want to be one of those Playmates. I want to be one of those pretty women that are in the magazine. Yeah.
That's cool. And then, so when you got into your teens, around 15 is when you started modeling.
Yes.
Now, was that something that you went and like did on your own, or were your parents, encouraging with that, and they took you out to the shoots and stuff?
Yeah, no, they were supportive, always very supportive of me. I was in San Diego. I'm a native San Diegan, and I used to do bikini contests. The first big contest I did was the Miss Mission Beach contest when I was 15, and I won the People's Choice Award. I mean, the crowd picked me, but the judges didn't. Then I skipped a year and went back when I was 17, and I won the Miss Mission Beach title.
So how was that? Like, was that like did you feel like that pride of representing? Because I know Mission Beach is is in San Diego, or like right next to it, right? So how did you feel like that? You came represented where you were from, and you won. Did you feel like that pride of winning from your hometown?
Well, I mean, Mission Beach is San Diego, so I just felt the pride of being Miss Mission Beach, and you get to go on talk shows and whatnot, because it was a big deal. ESPN filmed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So they were all out there with filming, documenting all of it.
Yeah, back when the cameras were like this huge.
With the huge guy standing on a big crane moving around.
Yeah.
Nice. So when you were mentioning the bikini shows, and I know you did like some hot leg shows. Is that what they were called?
Yeah. Okay. Those would take place in bars and nightclubs, and I was only 16, 17, and so they would have to sneak me around the back, and then when my song would come on, I would go out and do my thing, and then I'd have to go right back into the back room, and then leave right after it was done.
Now, were those things like, did they pay? What kind of prizes were
they had cash prizes. Mostly for the bikini contest, the hot legs in the bars, cash prizes. For the Miss Mission Beach, I won a trip to Jamaica.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you got to go out there. Was it like a week or 2 vacation?
It was like 4 days or something, and it was a trip for 2, and I went to Hedonism 2.
Okay.
Which, I was just a baby though. I was like, oh, this is crazy. People are naked.
Wow, that must have been some crazy times.
Yeah.
talking about like the shows and how you were, because I know you said you did lots of those shows, right? A question that we thought, because that was back then, now it must be a lot easier because of social media and the way you're able to find something. How difficult was it finding all of those shows back then? Like how did you find, I think it said you were doing 2 shows a week or something like that.
Yeah.
Did you have an agent? How was it that you found so much?
No, I've never had an agent or representation. That's a really good question, because I know there were always shows going on. I think people would contact me because you become what's called like a circuit girl, a bikini contest circuit girl. It was kind of like almost always the same girls going around to all the different clubs and bars. And you just find out about them. And I think they would contact us usually. And sometimes it'd be down in Mexico and we'd go there. But yeah, my parents would always take me.
So you definitely had your family's approval. And,
yes.
Because I know sometimes in those situations where, you know, you're aspiring to be a model, parents are old school and they're just like, oh, that. So, but you had your full family support.
My full support from both my mom and my dad, even with the Playboy thing. And it was great because, you know, a lot of the girls, like there was one girl who was a year or 2 before me, and she changed her name. I don't know how they changed their last name and think no one would notice. Hey, that looks like your daughter. No, it can't be. Her last name's this. I don't understand that, but she changed her name to Kerri Kendall. And then I came around, this is my real name, Kerri Kendall, so I get her fan mail sometimes and things get crossed.
They're like, aren't you Kerri Kendall? No, it's Kendall.
Yeah, they're like, PETA wants to do something with you. And I'm like, I'm not a vegetarian. What are you doing? You know, that's not me.
But do you think, like, if you would have started in the era of where the social media was, you know, like right now, do you think it would have been like a lot easier or more difficult because it's so saturated with so many people? Because you said even back then they were sending thousands of pictures to Playboy, right?
Well, I'll tell you what. Okay, that's kind of a 2-part answer. I'm gonna say. Actually, I don't know. Probably breaking into modeling is easier now because of social media, because you can get so much more exposure. But I would say that becoming a playmate is going to be just as difficult, because Playboy, the standards for choosing a playmate, there's only 12 a year, and once a playmate, always a playmate, by the way. There's no such thing as a former playmate, so I just want to lay that out right now.
Thank you for correcting.
Yeah, I get mad about that. We all do, but
it's like the president. You're always the president.
Right. You could always, I mean, it could be easier to become a Playboy model, which is something that's different than being a playmate. There's only 12 playmates a year, but a Playboy model is a girl who has appeared in any other, as you know, part of the magazine or in the newsstand specials or in the cyber club. That's a Playboy model, but there's only 12 centerfolds a year.
Okay.
So with social media, it's probably easier to become a Playboy model, but I think it's probably still as difficult to become a playmate.
So you were a Playboy Playmate September 1990, and you know, I'm sure a question you've been asked before is, what was your interaction with Hef? Did you meet him a lot of times? Did you get to work with him? You know, tell us about that.
Well, when you're shooting for a Playboy, when you're shooting to become a playmate, you stay at the mansion, because I lived in San Diego, and the centerfold shot itself takes sometimes a week to shoot just for the one picture. It's really difficult work. So you usually stay at the mansion. I always stayed in the guest house. Some of the girls will stay in the main house with him. There's guest rooms there as well, but there's a separate guest house, and that's where I always stayed. I never stayed in the main house.
Okay.
Hef is always very kind, very smart, always very respectful, and a gentleman. There is a misconception that used to go around, I don't know if people still say it, that, oh, you have to sleep with Hef to become a playmate.
Yeah.
That is 100% not true. And one of the things, I'm going to say something really personal right now. One of the things I loved about Hef was he was a good reader of people. There have been times when there's like a whole group of us girls, and he would go down the line and give each one of them a kiss on the lips, but he would kiss me on the cheek, because that's just not who I am. You know, not because I totally respected him, I love Hef, but he could read my energy that she's not the girl you kiss on the lips, you know.
And that's I think that's an honorable thing, right? Because when you're in that position where, you know, where you're Hef and all the women are there, and to still have that, you know, respect and everything, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, no, he's a great. I loved Hef. Hef was I have nothing but mad respect for him. I never had nothing. I don't know. People say negative things about stuff. Sometimes I have no idea what the hell they're talking about. There's a lot of negative things, and especially now with the, you know, with the internet now. See, maybe back in the day, people weren't able to interact with you or anyone that they followed like that
Right.
back in the day. But now people can interact with you. I mean, right now the message will come straight to your phone and they can say whatever
Right.
they want. So being as you were a playmate, or that you are a playmate, I noticed one time online, do people tend to be disrespectful because of that? Because they assume that, oh, she's a playmate, so I can just go in her inbox and say whatever, or even in
Yes.
person sometimes, I say whatever. Is that the case?
100%. Yes. People think, oh, well, you pose nude, so I can speak to you in any sexual manner at all. And quite frankly, I don't talk to people in a sexual manner. I am not a flirtatious, ooh, look at me, you know. I mean, what I do is business. You know, I sell an illusion and I sell glamour, but that doesn't mean me as a person, you can come up to me and speak to me sexually or flirt with me or sending dick pics. Honestly, I've had, of course, like every woman does, have had that happen. I've had someone on my fan page say to me, it's fair play. And I'm here to tell you it is not fair play. What I do is what I do for a living or as a career, and if you go to my fan page, you go there because you wanted to go there and see what I do. I'm not sending my nude photos out to random people and going, hey, look at me. People come to me because they want to see that. So to send a picture of your anatomy to me is not fair play.
Yeah, and that's crazy. I never, it's like, come on, man. That doesn't, just because she's posting this or this, it doesn't. And I see that's a situation a lot online, so I wanted to speak about that,
Right. And I don't like, I mean, every girl, every nude model, not nude model, whatever, we're all human beings. And I am not a person who speaks sexually publicly. On my Patreon page I will. They're paying to be there so they get a little more intimacy. That's kind of like my personal Facebook, and I feel like because they're paying to be on my Patreon page, I can be a little more open with them. I'm not just putting it out there for anyone to be disrespectful. I feel like there's a certain amount of respect if they're going to pay to be on my Patreon, so I'll be a little more open and talk about my personal life a bit more, in that manner.
So at one point, you're on Playboy, and then after that, you're traveling and you're living in your car. So how was it, that transition that, where you were in Playboy and then you find yourself living in your car?
Right. Well, let's see. I never had a glamorous life anyway. I've always just been a real person. Like when I was a playmate and doing the modeling and auditions, I always stayed living in San Diego and kept a regular job. I'm a Libra. I gotta have balance. I can't be all LA or all just working at a surgery center. My life has to balance and fluctuate. So it wasn't like I went from living in the mansion to living in a car. But it's still a transition, from living in an apartment to living in a car.
It's definitely a change, because people are probably assuming, oh, she was in Playboy, she's rich, she's rich, she's flying all over the world, she's got money or whatever.
People always assume that, but it's not,
Because you're still having to work. I mean, if anything, that's your shot. That's your shot that you would use to try to get to that point, right? But people just assume, oh, if she's on Playboy, she must have
money. People,
she lives with Hef and he gives her money, and
and
which is a good eye-opener. I'm sorry to cut you off. I think it's a good eye-opener for a lot of people that are beginning modeling and looking to be and have this misconception that, oh, if I make it to here, I'm good and I made it.
No, that's not true at all. As a matter of fact, you can take Playboy, especially as far as you want to go. I don't know what it is now, but back then it was $25,000 for the centerfold, and that was paid over a 2-year period. And then you got $5,000 extra if you shot a video centerfold, a 30-minute home video, which I did, and Michael Bay directed, by the way. That's a piece of trivia for you guys. Because, it was before he was huge. Michael Bay directed my video.
Awesome.
But, say my year, Pam Anderson was my year. She was February and I was September. She wanted to be a star. She wanted to be an actress, and that's what she did. I never wanted to be an actress. I never wanted to be a star. I just wanted to be me, and I wanted to be a playmate. So I continued to keep a regular job. I became a hairstylist after I was a playmate. Like, I'm a playmate in cosmetology school, because I'm just living life and doing what I do. I've never wanted to be famous or be an actress or be a star. I just want to, I don't know.
But that just shows you guys that the grind never stops, and even when you're given opportunities, you just continue to grind and continue to push through and do what it is that you have to do. And years later, I've had the opportunity, let's talk about the radio show. Yeah. I want to talk about Playtime with Turck and Kerri Kendall. What's up, Bill? How did you get into that? Like, you know, how long have you been doing that? Tell us about that.
Well, Playtime just celebrated its year birthday. We're just a little over a year, September. We've been on there for a year, and it actually started out as a 3-person show. It was Playtime with Sid and Bill featuring Kerri Kendall. Sid was the person that I knew when the show first started, so for some reason he invited me on. I didn't actually know him. We were Facebook friends, and we never really talked, but he must have been paying attention to my post or something, because he contacted me and said, my friend and I are putting together a radio show, and we want you to be part of it. And I was like, okay. And so I became part of the show, and then Sid ended up leaving. You know, he's a performance artist. He's, you know, he had to go do all this other stuff. And Bill and I had a really good chemistry, and we believe in the show and what the show's trying to do, so we kept it going. Because that's another misconception. We don't get paid for this. We pay for that spot every week. So we have a Patreon for that too, and advertisement is really important because we feel that the message we're bringing of art in the community and getting artists seen, and the importance of art on the brain and art for, you know, to help with recidivism, you know, prisons. I mean, we talk about so much on the show, and it's also so important that we pay for the time to be there.
And that's why I thought that it was, you know, imperative that we, the Chi City Cypher, thank you for inviting us and having us over there, come onto the show, because that's what we're about too, community. And when I saw what your show was about and the arts and bringing it to, you know, to media usually gives us a bad look in Chicago. You know, it's about the killings and about whatever. So to have something refreshing like that was pretty nice to see, and I'm glad that we were able to work with you. And we've actually been on there twice. For you guys that don't know, it's 1590 WCGO
every Sunday from 1 to 3 p.m. And you can watch the live stream or back shows on the 1590 WCGO Facebook page or Facebook Playtime with Bill, Turck, and Kerri Kendall.
And what I'll do for you guys as well is I'll drop the links below for the dates of when we were on your show, so you guys can go back and watch those episodes as well. You know, but thank you definitely for having us on the show.
Well, the first night I met you, I just have to say this, the word community came out of your mouth, and I was like, bing, you're the one I want on the show. I got to talk to you. Yes. And
we, you know, it's that's a connection that we all just, you know, within the arts, you know, we have. It's just like we all know we have to push for this because, you know, that's what gives us all like our expression and we're able to be us. So where do you see the show going? Where do you see the future of Playtime?
You know, I'm not sure. We do want it to grow and get bigger and bigger. We like to see it get to a point where we're not coming out of pocket anymore, but we want it to get big enough to where it's really, really beneficial when you guys come on. You know what I mean? We want to benefit everybody, all the artists in the community and all the people who have programs for art on the brain. We want community to come together, and we want we've had politicians on the show too. We want them to notice how important it is so that they can make changes, you know, because they're defunding our programs, etc. That's where we want the show to go, to where people start paying attention and making changes.
Okay, awesome. Well, you guys definitely tune in and follow the show. They're on Facebook, they're everywhere. So if you guys want to support Kerri, you guys can go on Patreon, Kerri Kendall 990. You can go on IG, also Kerri Kendall 990, and you can follow her on Twitter and Facebook at Kerri Kendall. Now, we like to end the show, we always have, you know, it's for the people aspiring to be in all the different areas of the people that we interview. For a model that's aspiring and in the industry, what advice would you have? What advice would you have for them?
I would say just be true to yourself. Never lose who you are as a person. Never compromise your ideals. And that is not coming from a place of judgment to saying don't do anything further than Playboy. Do what you want to do, and don't let anyone push you not out of your comfort zone. You need to get out of your comfort zone, but not who you are as a person. Stay true to yourself, and don't just do things for the money. Do things because they make you happy.
You guys heard it from the source herself. Kerri, thank you so much for being with us. This has been another epic Gizzo interview.
I'm sorry, I didn't know. It's been another epic Gizzo interview.
We'll keep it like that. You know what? We'll keep it like that.